What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Bartley Broadcast. This is episode number 5. This is my show where I talk about movies, TV, collectibles, comics, you name it. It's all things that I love talking about. And this episode's coming a little bit late. I believe it's going to be up Friday night, if not Saturday morning, but it's coming a little late today. I had a little bit of stuff to take care of this morning. But don't worry, we'll get back to the early Friday shows, early afternoon, maybe late morning Friday shows. So how you all doing? I'm doing great, The Last Jedi's getting closer. I can't wait. Speaking of The Last Jedi, I have a new collectible to show you guys. This is something that I wanted to buy so bad. These are expensive. I mean, relatively. They're $20. And, for a young college student, it's like, do you really want to spend a lot of money? But I couldn't resist this Black Series Ray one. It's just, and they're rare. There's not a lot of them left. It was the only one at Walmart. I was like, I'm just going to buy it. Who cares? It's something that I've really been wanting to do. So I went and bought it. I still want the Luke one. I'm going to buy the Luke Last Jedi. If I see one, the Black Series Luke, I'm done. For now, I'm done after that. Anyways, let's jump into the show content. So, of course, like every week, we're going to start with the stuff I've been watching lately, any new releases, any old movies I watched, new TV shows I'm watching, something like that. I have 2 movies to talk about there. Then we're going to get into entertainment news, stuff going on in the movie world, maybe a little bit of TV. Then I'm going to talk about my books, comic books, audiobooks. I don't have any new comics to talk about today, but I am going to give you an update on Leia, Princess of Alderaan, and then we'll close it out with the editorial segment. So, first up, I watched Kingsman: The Golden Circle last week. I think it was on Friday I saw it, probably after shooting the Bartley Broadcast, and I was super excited about it. Like, one of my most anticipated of the year, because I love the first one so much. And I really like Kingsman: The Golden Circle. I do. I think it's a good movie. But it's nowhere near the quality of the first one. And I hate comparing movies to their predecessors, but it's true. Like, I have to say it, that's what I'm weighing it next to, and it's not as good. But there's things I really, really enjoyed about it. Now, I'm going to talk about spoilers for like a minute and a half. So, if you haven't seen Kingsman: The Golden Circle, skip ahead about 2 minutes and you'll be in safe territory. I just want to talk about spoilers. So, look, the bad stuff of the movie is... it is like a little kooky. The first one's kooky, but it's a little bit kooky. I like the explanation they did with Colin Firth because, look, they have that thing where they put the thing over his head and it covers his face until they can, it saves his brain or something until they could go, rebuild the tissue or something like that, right? And some people aren't cool with the way that happened. But in this world, in this like exaggerated spy world, where there's all this technology they can use to do all this cool spy shit, why wouldn't something like that exist? So I'm okay with the explanation of him coming back. I don't love how throughout the whole movie he's like loopy and out of it and like not himself and he's like obsessed with butterflies, even though it was cool getting some background to his story and to his character. But I love Colin Firth in the first one, like how he's just badass and he handled every situation. I didn't like how... I'm okay with the way they brought him back, but I didn't love the character in the movie. One character I did love is the Mark Strong character. This is what got me in Kingsman 2. This is why I think it's a good movie. It's not the only reason, but this was the biggest highlight for me in Kingsman 2, is the relationship between Eggsy and Mark Strong's character, right? And how they both have to deal with all the Kingsmen dying, and when they're drinking that wine, or that whiskey together. And I loved their relationship and how, like, this movie was kind of about their journey. Even though Callahan or whatever comes back, it's really about those two for the most part of the movie. And, like, I love in movies when they pepper in little details throughout the movie and then there's a payoff at the end or, like, near the end of the film. And they have Mark Strong's character, like, he tells, like, he sings that John Denver song, right? And then it comes in his death scene, they have him like start singing it, and it just really got to me. I don't know. And they even pepper it in. He's like, he asks Callahan, who's my favorite singer? And he's like, why would I know that? And he's like, it's John Denver. Like he should know it. And maybe that's cheesy to some people, but I love that. I had that song stuck in my head for like 5 days straight, and I like kept playing it. And that moment just really got to me. His death. I hate that they killed him because I love that character so much. But the death was a great death. He sacrificed himself. Julianne's more villain. I like the idea of the villain, but the execution, like her on screen, her dialogue was terrible. Maybe that's why people dislike this movie, is because the Julianne Moore character was ridiculous. The things she was saying, the puns she was saying was ridiculous. But I like the idea of the character, like a drug lord who like thinks she should be recognized as this successful businesswoman, but she can't because she sells drugs. And I like the social commentary on the drug use and how people aren't bad people because they use drugs. And I agreed with that. And I really enjoyed the film. I would give it like a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's really good, but I won't say really good. I think it's good, but it's nowhere near the first one. All right, let's move on from that. Another movie that I watched this week, and I'm going to shoot a spoiler review for it pretty soon, is Friend Request, the horror movie Friend Request. And it's absolutely terrible. The only redeeming quality is what it was trying to go for, what it was trying to represent as like a commentary on social media and how people are affected by it so much, and how people rely so much on how many friends they have on social media, how many followers they have, and how like other people can like become obsessed with people who have like large amount of followers and stuff like that. I thought that idea was really great. Like you could have done something really cool with that. But the rest of the movie is absolutely terrible. The main actress does a pretty good job, but other than the idea of the film and the main actress, the rest of the movie is horrible. All the people who play the friends are bad actors. The characters are cliche and stupid and annoying. And the dialogue is freaking atrocious. It's absolutely... Oh my, I couldn't believe it what I was watching. I'll go into more detail in my spoilers review of that film. Look out for that. But for now, just know, do not go see Friend Request. It absolutely sucks. All right, moving into our entertainment news section. And we got some really cool stuff to talk about. So first up, we got DiCaprio and Martin Scorsese working on a Teddy Roosevelt movie, according to Variety. So basically, I think they're in talks to do this movie. I don't know if it's official yet, but the idea of this is great. I think DiCaprio has been wanting to do this for a while, and as some of you may know, DiCaprio is my favorite actor of all time. So anytime he's working with Scorsese, which he does great with, obviously, you got to get excited about that. And I love period pieces. I love history. I love American history and presidential history. So DiCaprio, directed by Scorsese in a Teddy Roosevelt film, please, that's like on my dream list right there. All right, next up, so you guys remember how Phil Lord and Chris Miller were booted from the Han Solo film because they supposedly tried to make it a slapstick comedy style film, and Kathleen Kennedy, Lucasfilm, they didn't want that. So basically, we might have Phil Lord and Chris Miller's next project. So they're working on a novel adaptation by Andy Weir, the author of The Martian. So he wrote The Martian. Ridley Scott adapted it, and that was a great movie, one of the best movies of that year. So now his next novel, Artemis, is going to be adapted by Phil Lord and Chris Miller. And so this is basically a synopsis of Artemis, the book, I believe. So they would adapt this idea, this plot, this concept. So here it is. An adrenaline-charged crime caper that features smart, detailed world building based on real science. It centers on Jasmine Bashara, aka Jazz, just another too smart, directionless 20-something chafing at the constraints of her small town and dreaming of a better life. Except the small town happens to be named Artemis, and it's the first and only city on the moon. She's got debt to pay. Her job as a porter barely covers the rent, and her budding career as a smuggler isn't exactly setting her up as a kingpin, much to her disappointment. So when the chance at a life-changing score drops in her lap, Jazz can't say no, and she finds herself in the middle of a conspiracy for control of Artemis itself. Oh my goodness. This sounds incredible. First of all, regardless of what happened with Phil Lord and Chris Miller in the Han Solo film, it's an unfortunate situation. And I don't know who's to blame in that situation. I don't know what really happened. We've heard things, but regardless of that, I love Phil Lord and Chris Miller. The Lego movie is amazing. It's one of my favorite animated films to come out in the past 5 years. And then their 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street are amazing. Some of the only good comedies to come out in the past decade. I wouldn't say the past decade, but in the past 6 years, So I love them as directors. I was so excited about Han Solo. I still am. But particularly because they were going to be directing it, I wanted to see what they're going to do next. This sounds amazing. First of all, you have Phil and Chris Miller, great directors, which I love. Second of all, you have Andy Weir, the writer of The Martian. They're adapting another book of his next book. That's amazing. Now you have this idea, the plot, the synopsis. I love that it centers around a young female character. I love that it's about a city on the moon, and it just sounds so interesting. Even if that story wasn't on the moon, it just sounds so interesting. So all of this stuff combined sounds amazing. When this movie gets a release date, it'll be one of my most anticipated for that year for sure. All right, moving on to some comic book news. So the Venom movie, the Sony Venom movie, who supposedly lightweight connects to Spider-Man Homecoming in the MCU, but we're not going to see them directly connect. So the Venom movie has Michelle Williams and Riz Ahmed in talks to star in this movie alongside Tom Hardy. Now, Michelle Williams, according to Variety, will play a district attorney and possibly Hardy's love interest. And there's no details on Riz Ahmed's character. This is great. Look, I wasn't that excited when Sony announced they're doing a Venom movie, but they got a good director. Tom Hardy is one of the best and one of my favorite actors working today. Getting Tom Hardy changed my whole entire perspective of this movie. I love it. That alone. Michelle Williams is one of the best actresses working right now. Have you seen Manchester by the Sea? She's great in that. She's great in almost everything she does. She's in talks, I guess, but if they get her, that just elevates the film. Riz Ahmed is amazing. Remember him from Nightcrawler, and he was good in Rogue One too. Excited about it. If they get these two in the Venom movie, it elevates my excitement even more, even though I'm really, really excited about it. My next topic I'm going to talk about briefly, because I talked about Terminator a lot, the new Terminator reboot, directed by Tim Miller, produced by James Cameron. I talked about that last week, so I'm not going to get too much into it, but basically it has a release date now, July 26, 2019. I guess that's a good release date. It's going to be rated R. The only thing I'm concerned about for this movie is it's coming out a week after The Lion King. The live action, the full CGI adaptation of Lion King, directed by Jon Favreau, who directed The Jungle Book. I know it's different audiences, but I think Terminator 2 is going to lose a lot of box office because of The Lion King. Look, earlier this year, Beauty and the Beast came out, right? What came out a week after? Power Rangers. Power Rangers would have made so much more money, and I'm not saying it would have made a lot of money. I'm saying it would have made more money if it didn't come out a week after Beauty and the Beast. So Terminator 2, it's going to be prevented. Parents aren't going to go to it because they're taking their kids to see Lion King in week 2. So I think they should move, but I think Terminator is going to do well. It is. I think it's going to be more low-key than like Genesis was. But I think it needs to be like an August release date or a March release date. Not right dead in this middle of summer where we're going to have comic book movies and stuff like that. So it should get out of there. But yeah, we'll see. I'm excited about this movie, so we'll see. Now I got 2 trailers to talk about. First one up is Maze Runner, The Death Cure. I've actually been a fan of the Maze Runner franchise so far. I think the first one is really good. I think the second one wasn't as good, but it still had a lot of redeeming qualities to it. I think Dylan O'Brien is a great action star. I really like him as a young actor. I want him to play like maybe like Nova or somebody in the MCU, or maybe Nightwing. Who knows? We'll see. I like Dylan O'Brien a lot. So the movies have been good or to decent for me. I like Dylan O'Brien. I like this trailer somewhat. It's okay. It didn't really give away much, just a lot of action going on. But hey, I don't have to absolutely love every trailer that I watch. So it looks pretty good. Not super excited about it, but I am going to see it when it comes out. So the next trailer I am excited about. So the next trailer is the Annihilation trailer, the next film by Alex Garland, who wrote and directed Ex Machina, which was my second favorite movie of the year it came out after The Force Awakens, of course. Ex Machina is amazing. It's like, let's say we took the past 4 years and I made a top 10 list of the movies to come out in the last 4 years. Ex Machina would be on that list, and that's crazy from all those films in those last 4 years. So Alex Garland returning to write and direct. You have Natalie Portman, Oscar Isaac, a couple other supporting actors in there, and then you have this premise of her going into this like sci-fi world. It's like a portal or something like that, and like once you cross this line, you're in this other kind of like world. I don't know what it is, but it looks so damn intriguing. Like, it looks amazing, and I cannot wait to see it. Anyways, Moving on to the comic book and audiobook section. Haven't been reading any new comics lately. I have a bunch of comics that I haven't read yet. So I'll get to more of those in later episodes of the Bartley Broadcast and Comic Hero Talk. But I have been wrapping up Princess Leia, Princess of Alderaan, the Star Wars canon book. It's still great. Last time I talked about the book, though, I said it has the potential to be my favorite Star Wars canon book. And I'm not going to say that. I think it's really good and great so far. But I'm kind of realizing what it is. Who knows? By the time this book ends, I still have about I think I have 4 chapters left. By the time the ending comes around, maybe the ending shocks me. I'm like, whoa, that was great. And maybe it's back up in that discussion. But for now, it's going to be in my, better top half of the audiobooks that I've done. Probably somewhere around the top 5, top 6, top 7. But as of right now, I still really like it, but I don't love it as much as I thought I was going to love it. But we'll see. It all depends how everything wraps up. All right. Moving on to probably my favorite part of the Bartley Broadcast when I talk about whatever I want, the editorial segment. So what I've been doing is running down my favorite movies of all time. So, I went 1 through 4 these past 4 episodes. Now I'm my 5th favorite movie of all time, and that is 8 Mile. So I'm going to talk about that. But before I continue, I just want to say, so I've been doing this, running down my list. I'm gonna continue that later on, but for now I'm going to take a break from running down my list. So I'm going to start doing different stuff with the editorial segment because I don't want to get too boring on here just talking about my favorite movies of all time. But I will come back to this. So let's say I'll take a 4-episode break. So I'm going to take a 4-episode break and then of doing other stuff in the editorial segments, talking about different stuff, Who knows? It could be anything. But after that, I'll go back, I'll do my next 5, and then maybe I'll take a 4-episode break, do my next 5, and till I reach my top 25 or something like that. I think that'll be fun, because I have been working on my top 25 list of all time, because I think top 10 is so so limited, so I want to expand that, so maybe we'll get to that later. But today, episode 5, we're talking about my 5th favorite movie of all time, and that is 8 Mile, the Eminem film. You might be like, what? That's random? What? So first of all, I grew up listening to hip-hop music. It was my first love. Rap music was my first love. I used to love it way more than I loved movies. It was everything to me. As I got older, it started meaning less to me, but I still love it, and some of my favorite artists are Eminem, Lil Wayne, Tupac, Biggie, of course, people like that, Fabulous. But I got a lot of favorite rappers throughout the years. But arguably my favorite musician of all time, or not musician, but lyricist, artist, rapper, is Eminem. So, and part of it is because of 8 Mile, because I was 10, I was 9 or 10 when it came out, and I'm so enthralled with the movie first. It's not one of the best movies of all time, don't get me wrong. I think it's a really good movie, but because of what it's about, how much of a big of a fan I am of Eminem, and then how much I love rap music and how much it kind of shaped me when I was younger, it means a lot to me. And I swear, honestly, if I were to do a list of top 5 endings to a movie ever, so let's say top 5 third acts to a movie ever, 8 Mile arguably is going to be in the number 1 or number 2 spot. Those battle scenes at the end of 8 Mile are phenomenal. Eminem wrote those lyrics for that battle. They are phenomenal. Oh my God, some of the best lyrics I've ever heard. And the way, the drama, the tension, him taking down all these guys one by one and with the mic. He doesn't have to fight them. He doesn't have to beat them with violence. He's beating them with what he's great at, and that's spitting lyrics. And I love that. I get the chills every time I watch that. I know all of his battles to those guys. I know them by heart. I know them off the top of my head. So it's crazy. I love that movie so much, and it just kind of represents my love for hip hop and rap music, and for Eminem as an artist. So that's why I love 8 Mile. I think it's great, and it's a movie that it's timeless. I can watch it anytime I want, and it's still special to me. So there you go. All right, well, that's gonna wrap up the Bartley Broadcast. I'm gonna try to keep it a little bit shorter from now on, under 30 minutes for sure. Maybe It's going to be in between 20 and 30 minutes unless I have a guest, which I'm trying to get Gio Ramos on one of these upcoming episodes, so we'll see how that goes. Thank you all for watching today. Please let me know what you thought of my podcast and what you think of any of the topics that I talked about today. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Please let me know in the comment section. Also, please subscribe to Apocalypse Movies. We're doing big things over here. The Padawan Podcast, Comic Hero Talk, movie reviews, news topics. We talk a lot about Star Wars, stuff like that, obviously. And check us out on iTunes. We got the podcast up on iTunes. We have movie reviews on iTunes. Subscribe to us there. Follow us on there. We would really, really appreciate it. I am Jacob Bartley. This is the Bartley Broadcast. You can find me on Twitter at JacobBartley_. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, take care.